In this movie, I'll introduce you to what's known as global swatches. And these are swatches that are linked to their objects. So if you make any kind of modifications to a global swatch, all of the linked objects will change in kind. If you take a look at the swatches panel, you'll see a small group of swatches with white triangles in their bottom right corners. Those are the global swatches. Everything else is a standard everyday average swatch. So in other words, notice this yellow swatch right there, Aztec Gold, the one we just created in the previous movie. If I double click on it in order to make some kind of modification, like let's say I change the cyan value to 100% so that I'm getting a shade of green, and I turn on the preview checkbox so I can see the changes, there are no changes because this is not a global swatch, meaning there is no link between the swatch and the objects. So I'll go ahead and cancel out. There is a kind of a link, however. If I go ahead and select this swatch right now, Aztec Gold, and then I go up to the control panel, notice the Select Similar Objects icon. I'm going to click the down pointing arrowhead to the right of it and choose Fill Color. And as soon as I do, I select all of those squares that are filled with that shade of yellow. So a link exists. Illustrator is aware that these objects go with this swatch. It's just until you turn on the global checkbox, which I'm about to show you in a moment, you can't make that kind of global connection. So what you want to do if you want to change an object to a global swatch, step one is to select the swatch. Step two is to go ahead and select all the objects associated with that swatch in any way, shape, or form. And then step three is to double click on the swatch and turn on the global checkbox. And then go ahead and click the OK button. And now you'll see a little white triangle in the bottom right-hand corner of that color swatch. You can now click off of the selected shapes to deselect them. And now if I double click on this color swatch to bring up the dialog box, I can change my color values. For example, I'm going to change the C value to 20, the M value to 40, and the Y value to 60. And now if I turn on the preview checkbox, I can see all of the linked objects change in kind. Now, obviously, we no longer have Aztec Gold, so I might as well change the name to, let's say, Texcoco Broth, and click OK. And now, of course, not only have I modified the color of the swatch, but I've modified the color of the linked objects as well. The thing I haven't done is change the name of the swatch. Illustrator will go ahead and remember everything you did inside the dialog box except the changing of the name. So if you want to really change the name, you have to double click again and then enter that name again like so, and then click OK. So essentially, you can't turn on the global checkbox and change the name in one operation. You have to do it in two separate operations, and now the deed is actually done. All right, I might as well go ahead and change that grayish green swatch to a global swatch as well. So I'll click on it. Again, these are the steps that are required if you want to really retain the link. Go ahead and click on a swatch, go up to the control panel, click on that down pointing arrowhead, confirm that fill color is active in our case, and then you want to click on the Select Similar Objects icon to select all of those filled shapes. Double click on the grayish green color swatch to open the dialog box, turn on global, and in our case, we don't want to change the color, so just click OK. Now, what I'm going to tell you is when in doubt, you want your swatches to be global. There's fairly few occasions where you don't want global swatches inside of Illustrator. So when you're creating a swatch, you might as well turn on global in the first place. For example, let's say I want to go ahead and create a new swatch that really is Aztec Gold for the yellow jewelry inside of the face. Because this is a grouped object, I'll press the A key to switch to the white arrow tool, and then I'll click somewhere inside the yellow in order to select that ring. Then I'll go up once again to the Select Similar Objects icon on the right side of the control panel and click on it to select all of the shapes that are filled with that color. That's a very important step in order to establish that link. Then click on the little page icon at the bottom of the swatches panel. Let's go ahead and call this guy Aztec Gold and turn on the global checkbox and then click OK, and we've got ourselves a new global swatch that's associated with these selected objects. Now I'll go ahead and click off the shapes to deselect them, and let's say I think this gold color is currently too sort of greenish, so I'll double click on the color swatch in order to bring up the dialog box. I'll reduce the C value to 0, I'll take the M value up to 10, and then I'll reduce the Y value to 70%. Turn on the preview checkbox, keep a very careful eye over here on the face. As soon as I turn on the preview checkbox, you can see that the color becomes more of a gold, and now I can click OK in order to accept that modification. And it happens even though the shapes are deselected because we've established a link. And that is how you create and modify global color swatches here inside Illustrator.